Links to join the channel and watch the videos over at Subscribestar that are not appropriate for YouTube. Thanks to Vegan, you're really doing the Lord's work over there. So unlikely allies help PronHub in shutdown over Utah law. Maybe Prawn is just evil. Maybe you can just look at some things and go, yeah, maybe to left or right, whatever. It just kind of seems like, oh, this is just call it evil, and the people who push it as evil. It's a good thing to judge degeneracy. The left wing seems to have this, or the feminists, I don't know if they're left exactly, seem to have this binary in their head of the 1980s fire and brimstone preacher, and then just the ultimate sick degeneracy of extremist prawn type of stuff, and go, it's one or the other. Doesn't have to be. I mean, there can be a middle ground. You're not into all that like fire and like cliche. I don't know, Tommy, Pat. What was it, the Baker family or something? From the 80s, like that kind of extreme kind of nonsense. But the other extreme of just interracial anal gangbang type of stuff. It's like it could maybe something in the middle. Maybe both extremes are not for you. You can say that. It's like, but the left wing is in this weird herd mentality where they have to go out on this thin ice and they have to stay in the middle of the herd, even if the alarm bells are starting to ping, because it means they have to break away and join all the other canceled people who are somewhere in the middle. Anyway, just something to think about. Oh, and the ACLU, ADL, SPLC, they're all globalists. They're all just lizard people. The subversion of the ACLU over the past 50 years from that, I remember the Skokie case, I think it was Illinois, for the people to march, the right to march, and the subversion of the ACLU nowadays, where you look at who's in charge of the ACLU, ADL, SPLC now, you go, oh, you just like those groups are meaningless. They're not what they set out to be. So left or right, you can look at feminist or anti-feminist, if that's such a thing. You can look at prawn and you can just call it evil, and you can look for the pathway to get rid of it and the people who push it, which is why it's important to look at the actors behind the scenes, who's financing it, where's the money coming from, what's the companies, and then what are the parent companies and who the subsidiaries. Like follow the money for all. Who are these people? What are their motivations, and why would we allow them to victimize people? I mean, some things you can just look at, like what is being done in this kind of stuff, and you go like, yeah, I don't think this is healthy for us. We got to do it. It's the First Amendment. Well, who's fighting for it? And let's look at those people, and then let's look at, like, did the founding fathers really intend this? Do we want this as a society? I mean, sometimes you have to stand up and say, some hills are worth going to battle for. Who are these people? Why do we allow it? Nobody seems to ask the hard questions. They have these politically incorrect talk shows, and they never actually are politically incorrect. Every once in a while, Bill Maher, I think, will get close. Every once in a while, to his credit. But what happened to that Tucker Carlson or that Project Veritas guy? I think his name's James O'Keefe. Oh, they got fired. Oh, that's weird. That's Tucker Carlson. Wasn't he like a really popular guy for Fox? Of course, don't watch Fox, but wasn't he a really popular guy for Fox News? Yeah. He was a big draw for that network. So you got rid of. I understand the Dominion lawsuit type of thing. I mean, like, believe it or not, $700-800 million is not the end of the world to a media company. But you got rid of the guy, so the most popular guy. So you're just going to turn into CNN and MSNBC, which is not a good thing, because those things are kind of like those companies are fading. Like, the only way to stand out is to go the other direction, but you're not. Like, you fired the one guy who was to some extent asking some questions, and he got fired for it. It's like, so you're saying that this Fox is like an $18 billion company, is willing to get rid of their biggest draw. So that doesn't make sense until it all makes sense. It's like, that's why the They Live scene, when he puts on the sunglasses, is such a long scene, because that shows you how hard it is to put the sunglasses on. Anyway, so those guys got fired. It seems like, oh, what were they talking about that the puppet masters didn't want covered? Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Matters to me. Oh, what, are you istophobic or something? What the fuck are you talking about? Anyway, so prawn actually ties into the subversion of feminism, started about 20 or 30 years ago. Because I remember one of my girlfriends gave me a book, and it was called that. And it was about the history of it, and it's from a feminist perspective. And keep in mind, like, that long ago, a feminist was in a different type of thing. Feminists thought prawn exploited women. And, I look at it and go like, yeah, I think it also exploits men, everyone who's in the industry, except for the parasites who profit from it, and the people who watch it. It's like, it's this fruit of this poison tree that just spreads its venom everywhere it goes. And it did exploit women, but it went beyond that. It's a globalist weapon. It's in a war that most people don't know that they're in, though I will say they're starting to awaken. Elon Musk buying Twitter, no, it's not Gab, it's not Telegram, it's nothing like that, but it has changed. You're seeing things on Twitter now that, wow. So feminists used to be anti-prawn and much more pro-family. Then they slowly got subverted away from feminism and into just being a globalist tool to push Bolshevism. They started to focus on race and not sex issues. And it kind of ties into 2012 Occupy, around the time of Occupy, where if someone did a word association, a word frequency charts for all these hot words, the Bolshevik hot words, the cultural Bolshevik control terms you hear all the time used about like European Supreme type of stuff and all these other kind of hot words, and they all the chart is flat until about 2012, and then there's a dozen of these type of hot words, and they all go almost vertical, all about 2012, because the puppet master saw that the left wing was starting to go in a direction they did not want them to go into, and they subverted the left wing. You know, like I said, with they drive up with an AMG and a briefcase full of money. It's like it's pretty easy to subvert people who up until that time thought like an ounce of weed was an amazing thing. But it's mainly the media control. Like the media, if you dissemination of information, you start introducing these. Oh, our greatest threat is European people in America. And you go, but that's objectively false. It doesn't matter. The media says it, and they repeat it, and they repeat it, and they repeat it, and it gets halfway across the world. Anyway, the early feminism, as feminism started to get subverted, they went from race and not focusing on sex issues. I went down this rabbit hole. I started reading these articles. They were talking about these women were honestly talking about what happened. They said that like they were having meetings, that they were slowly got pressured to push Pox Walks women to the front, and some of it was like financial because the feminist had money associated with feminism. And some of these, like, BLM was scamming people for money, buying large mansions, which they literally did. There's that woman who bought 4 homes. So some of it was that, like some of the women were just grifters. They wanted a piece of the puzzle, but they were pressured to push these women to the front. And it's like, well, that was the natural consequences of liberalism, which kind of slowly morphed into globalism, which kind of morphed into this. I forget what they call it, where like they focus on ethnicity, and they have this like point system. It's pure critical theory from the Frankfurt School, and it's sad to see that the feminists got subverted by it. They didn't put their foot down and said, no, that's all nonsense. We don't believe that. Oh, you must be Islamophobic. Even you using that phrase and that as an argument is just critical theory. Like, just because we're feminists doesn't mean we're globalist, Marxist, critical theorists. That's all nonsense. Bolshevism is poison. You can be a feminist and you don't have to be a Bolshevik. But unless you really have a strong backbone, you have to stand up against the mighty power of the media. Like every single mainstream media company is pushing Bolshevik propaganda. You have to be a rock in the storm to stand up against that. And then eventually, if you got on social media, you'd just be deplatformed. Like there are nationalist groups and there are right-wing feminist type of groups. They just get deplatformed off of, or they used to get deplatformed off social media. Twitter just kind of changing it a little bit. Anyway, so they were pressured to push Pox women to the front and not use a merit-based system. In some cases, women would start an organization and do meetings and marches, and they'd be taken over by Marxists and literally kicked out of the groups that they themselves had started. The globalists want prawn as a weapon to destroy the family. They have to push it, so they knew they had to subvert feminism, and they did. It took 20 years, but they managed to turn feminists into proud STD-infected sluts who don't have the ability to pair bond, meet a man, have kids, and start a family. They just, like, that never happens for them. They just get older and older. They're kind of like, oh, okay, I'm done with my slut phase. I want to settle down. And I'm not saying, like, I know there used to be channels on YouTube that were like these like angry guys. I'm not coming from that perspective. I want you to get married and have kids when you're young. Like, because I think you're gonna regret it. There's no anger here. It's like you're probably gonna be happier getting married and having kids than to be a single cat lady. Or a single cat man, to be fair. Though men are probably more like, I don't know what you call them, like the video game generation. On both sides, it's like, you both sides have been manipulated one way or the other by this cultural Bolshevism. So anyway, the machine wants single cat ladies, and they want to lower the birth rate of fair, gullible girls, and they have. They stopped having kids, and the demographics have been reflecting that. That's the goal of globalism: a mass removal of one group of people, you, people who look like you. They use prawn to destroy the sacred trilogy of the family and tribe. Women are just holes to be used while they're young, and they're left to delete themselves or become cat lady. Like the self removal from the mortal coil of people involved in that industry, or ODs, overdoses, and involvement in the prison systems and chemical dependencies. It's a brutally sick industry. And you can look, if you looked at the totality of circumstances, the country would move to shut it down if it was brought to their awareness, if they could be made to care about it. And it's never brought to their awareness. It's just this sick industry. It's just this sick underbelly run by serpents, and nobody shines a light on it. Like, oh, you'll just get deplatformed and debanked, and no payment processors, and you'll be unpersoned. Oh, that's weird. Anyway, women should not just be used up when they're young and then discarded. It's like that's the whole point of marriage. And like, women are attractive when they're young, and then after that, it's like, well, they're raising kids and grandkids. They're a part of the family. And if you use them up when they're young, they don't have a place other than to be cat ladies when they get older. They don't have a place in a tribe. They're just nothing. That they're rootless. It's like, that doesn't seem. When you're in a woman hating competition and your opponent is a hardcore feminist, it's like, whoa, I'm gonna have to concede this battle. They see women getting gangbanged, every hole filled and then covered in fluids, and they have to say that is stunning and brave. A lot of modern feminists have to pretend to support stuff because their puppet masters told them to support it. I think it's time for feminists to have a come to Jesus, or Thor or Mars, whatever pantheon you want to get into. Have one of those moments and kind of wonder, like, who's pulling our strings? Hardcore Christianity on one side with the Tammy Faye Bakers and the makeup and the guys demanding money and all that kind of nonsense, or all interracial anal gangbang on the other side. It's like, maybe something in the middle. Yeah, you can reject both. You can, no. If I'm on the left, I have to stay in the herd. Are women just sex objects to be used as cum dumpsters? Wouldn't it be better to start viewing women as wives and mothers? Oh no, that's patriarchy. Maybe that's a good thing. As the head of the ordered domestic tranquility, as the raiser of children, the keepers of the fertile garden, not sacred exactly. You don't want to put them on pedestals, but they should be put on a little bit of a pedestal, because they're part of the family, and the family is sacred. The blood tribe, it's the meme of the left and the right-hand path to be a cum dumpster proud slut, to just be an F-hole while young, and then a single cat lady after 28, or to get married young and start having kids and connecting to the greater tribe. What path would you choose? It seems odd that the feminists are choosing no, I want to have STDs and be a proud slut. Oh, that's weird. I mean, you don't want to be like a wife and a mother. No, that's the patriarchy. Who told you the patriarchy is bad? Oh, my college professor. You ever think that maybe he's evil? That college professor does not have your best interests. But the media supports college professors. Yeah, you're getting there. Anyway, that's the power of globalist propaganda. We're starting a family as part of the patriarchy. And it's evil because Cosmo Magazine or Teen Vogue said it was anal sex for 12-year-olds. Oh, well, don't fed post. But, it's better to be in an interracial anal gangbang. Or not. Or not. Like that you don't have to, you can look at that and just go, yeah, I don't think that's the path forward. Oh, you istophobic? Okay, I mean, fine. If you want to go with that, and let's move on. Is that the path you want, to just be used up when you're young and attractive, and then just discarded because no one will want you after that? You bet your ass. It's much better than having a family and having kids and grandkids. No, it's not. Are families perfect? No, of course not. It's just probabilities. It's like probability on one hand is to being connected to your tribe, and the other is going to lead to a happier life. And the other hand is, anal gangbangs and being covered in body fluids. Oh no, the consenting adults, this is how they express their femininity. You're out of your mind if you really believe that. Like, I know deep down you don't really believe that. You're just parodying stuff. It's like the left is more reactionary than the right a little bit. Or if the right wing says, yeah, you probably want to get married and have kids and go to church, or you become part of your community. It's not the religion aspect that's important. It's the part of the community aspect that's important. Be part of your tribe, having group preferences, like the basics of human civilization for the past 20,000 years. And if you say that, the left wing goes, no, got to have all this kind of degeneracy. You're just saying that because you think someone on the right's like not. It doesn't have to be these binaries. You can look at both extremes and say, yeah, prawn is evil, and you might not be on board with all the fire and brimstone like performative Christianity of the 80s. You don't. It doesn't have to be binary. You can just pick something in the middle. You say, yeah, both extremes are not for you. You can take some middle ground. You don't have to. You don't have to be pro pushing prawn. And like you can probably take time to take a serious look at the ADL, SPLC, ACLU. Say, how have these groups changed in the past 50 years from the Skokie case? Like, because they don't defend the ACLU doesn't defend the First Amendment if it's for right-wing groups, and they don't defend the Second Amendment at all. But those are in the Bill of Rights. It's literally the first and second. What about the fourth, fifth, sixth, and eighth? Oh, well, not if they're for right-wing groups. So you're not the ACLU anymore. You've just been subverted by these globalist parasites. Yeah, take a deep dive. ADL, ACLU, SPLC, and you'll see that yes, they have. You got to stop to just kind of consider that the media, MSN, the social media, the women's magazines, BuzzFeed, and the rest, they're just globalist parasites. That like there's this there's this chick who writes, not this girl, it's another girl who writes for the Mary Sue. And I read her articles, and she's single, right? And she's this far left-wing whack job feminist. She's not that whack job, but you look at her, and it's like, if you lost some weight, like 20 pounds, you'd probably have an easier time meeting somebody. It's like, well, that's the patriarchy. Why should I do that? It's like, because in the real world, there's like give and take, that's just the real world. Like being part of a family is being subservient sometimes and being dominant sometimes. It's like, it's a give and take. And these people have been so brainwashed to believe, no, it's better to be a single cat lady than to be subservient in some circumstances. Well, no, it's not. I mean, you're probably going to regret that decision, as like articles have come out from people regretting these decisions. I know it's like it's all tied in together. Like the subversion of feminism from the past 30 years is fascinating. I have to take with that. I've done videos on this for Odyssey and BitChute. And this is very carefully done on YouTube. Anyway, and Subscribestar too. I put videos up there too, which you can join for $2 a month. Thanks to Vegan over there. You're doing the Lord's work. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all next episode.